Welcome to another episode of Friday Film School. Today we're talking about contracts. Yay! Oh yeah, fun times. So, contracts. Personally, they are more anxiety inducing for me than the blank page or looking at the first cut of something. But I've learned to deal with it. Receiving a contract should be great news. And don't get me wrong, it is. But I would be lying if I didn't say that I broke out into a cold sweat while thinking about having to go through that paperwork. I deal with it better now because I've developed a routine for the reading, negotiation, as well as signing of a contract. And that is what makes it a lot less intimidating than it used to before. In this video, I'll be discussing the steps you should take right from the moment that contract hits your inbox. How you should prep to read the contract, why you should read it yourself even though you've hired a lawyer to deal with it, the things to look out for in the document, best practices to catch the tiny but relevant details, prioritizing points to negotiate, and closing the loop once you've signed the contract. I should emphasize, none of this is legal advice. You should hire a lawyer to look at every contract before you sign it. I'm just sharing my experience and the things that helped me through that process. First things first, the executive that sends you this contract will probably say signing the contract is just a formality. Nope, that's not how contracts work. Contracts can and should be tailored to the project as well as the people who are entering into that contract. You have the right to request changes or removal of clauses that either make you uncomfortable or are irrelevant to your duties because they could become a problem at a later date. So first step, reading the contract. In the beginning, I used to put this off as much as possible, but trust me when I say it is inevitable. So the sooner you get into it, the better for everyone involved. The good news is you don't have to do it all in one day. Download the document as soon as it comes and give yourself as much time as possible to go through the whole thing. During the first read through, make sure that the important details are correct. Have they spelled your name correctly? Is the project title correct? Are the payment terms clear? Does the contract clearly define deliverables and set out clear timelines? You would be surprised at the number of times people have received contracts with either the wrong name or the wrong project description. So this is definitely something you need to check. This initial reading should go pretty quickly because for one thing, you have fresh eyes. There is the excitement of having received the contract. There is the promise of money sometime in the near future. So this is the one where you need to make sure that the things that are important are in the right place. We're filmmakers, not legal experts. So every contract you sign should be okayed by a working lawyer who specializes in this type of contract. The reason why you should read your own contracts is so that you become familiar with the language, the terms, and also so that it sinks in for you that this is a professional assignment. Someone is taking the time and going through the effort of entering into a legal agreement with you to provide a service of some kind. Another reason why you should read the contract is to confirm that it contains all of the deal points that may have been verbally agreed with the studio or a producer at an earlier date. After the first reading where you've confirmed that the details are correct, it's time to dig deeper. For your second reading, focus on the rights and responsibilities clauses, the termination clause, and the credits clause. Is it clear what you're responsible for once you've entered into this contract? Do you know under what circumstances this contract can be terminated? Is it clearly stated how you will be credited in the project? If not, you may need to request a change. I was once given a contract where I was made responsible for the entire film. The contract literally said that if anything went wrong with the film, it would be my responsibility. Now on that project, I was hired as part of the BTS crew. So all I had to do was document the activities on set and help with making marketing materials when the film was ready for release. So how could I be responsible for the film? This was clearly a cut and paste job where I had got the wrong contract. Now, if I and my lawyers had not read this ahead of time, it could have become a problem at a later date. Oh yes, one quick note, print out the contract and read a physical copy whenever possible. For some reason, I find it easier for me to focus when I'm reading a physical document rather than when I'm reading it on screen. Try it, maybe it'll work for you as well. When you're dealing with dense and complicated text, it's best if you can plan out your changes at the very beginning. Highlighters are your best friend so that it becomes easier for you to skim through it when it comes to the later revisions. Here's another thing. Keep a priority list of the changes you are requesting. This way you know which changes absolutely have to be made before you sign the contract and which ones you're willing to live with if they're not changed for some reason. Ideally speaking, you want to be 100% comfortable with the contract, but as we know, in the real world, things are never 100%. Hey, do me a favor, hit that like button. Yes, I'm asking for this earlier. Also, please consider subscribing if you'd like to watch more videos of this kind. And if you're already subscribed, please hit that bell notification so that you can be informed when our next video goes live. Once you survive the back and forth of the negotiation, and believe me, even though it doesn't feel like it, you will. It's time for the actual signing. Have them email you a copy, download it, and read it first thing in the morning with fresh eyes. This shouldn't take too long if you have been systematic about tracking changes during the negotiations. Sign it, send it back to them, and make sure they countersign and send you a copy for your records. If they're sending you a physical copy, just check the document to make sure that it is the contract that you have signed. I once received a contract where the title page was mine and the rest of the contract featured the name and credentials of someone else. It turned out that an assistant had accidentally stapled the wrong pages of a contract together. So this can happen. This is what you have to be watching out for. Once it is signed, sealed, and delivered, congratulations. Now you can focus on the real job. So the next time you land a job and begin working with your lawyers to shape the contract, I hope some of these points help you with the experience.